Hey guys, this is Jack. Sorry for the delay in the podcast. I know we haven't put one out for a few weeks, but some of the Bowdudes have been out killing stuff. So we will have a recap on our antelope hunt, hopefully next week. But this week is an old one that we recorded, and I just never got it put out for some reason. I'm not sure why. A little of this stuff is a little dated, but I think the main content of the podcast is still relevant. And so enjoy, and hopefully we'll be back on schedule next week. Thanks for the patience. Bye.
Welcome to the Bowdudes, a podcast about archery and the lives it has ruined. The Bowdudes are not responsible for diminishing archery skills or lower IQ.
I worry about breathing.
Shut up, Jude.
And I'm totally lost. God, I keep having to remember that we're PG-13. Did Vince help you with those pants?
No, he did not. I'm so glad you have yourself to crack up.
Logic and common sense will not be tolerated.
This is a very interesting podcast so far. Oh, I almost missed it. We're back with another podcast. I think I say that every time. I need to quit saying that. Another Bowdudes podcast. And I'm trying to cough up a lung, and the podcast will be a lot better once I get it coughed up.
Just hopefully it doesn't bleed much.
We're not cleaning it up.
So how you guys been?
Good.
Good.
You know what we didn't do today when I came up early? We didn't work on intros.
That's all right.
Yeah, this one was good.
Unlike our other podcasts where we're all prepared with notes and everything else, tonight we're going to wing this one. We're here at my house. We're sitting in my room downstairs watching hunting shows, and we just got done shooting outside, and we got done eating some pizza, and I got a piece of pizza, I think a whole piece of pizza stuck in my throat right now.
It wasn't a whole piece. It was the whole pizza.
Do you need Gary to go get you something? I mean,
You were double fisting them while ago. So.
Gary, will you go give me some water?
What was that about that diet you were talking about?
I know.
That Western hunter diet?
I know it. So
It's kind of like donuts. They have holes in them, so there's no calories to hold. The calories fall right out.
could go get that stool plunger and get that piece of pizza out of his throat.
I'm not using the plunger in, though. I'm just going to shove it on down. That's going to hurt a little bit, Jack.
I may be up for that here before long.
I'm willing to do it.
But yeah, we were outside shooting because we are next. This is 1 week from today. We'll be on the road to Colorado to go after antelope. So we're out getting prepared, and that's a good tip. That's a Bowdudes tip. Is are we keeping you up, Gary?
Yeah, I think so. Man,
You gonna be all right?
I get up way too early.
Are we boring you?
Yeah.
We know, Gary, it's all about you.
Do I have to enter that?
So, Bowdudes tip is if you're going to go on a major Western hunt, make sure you are out there at least a week ahead of time shooting your broadheads and being prepared. Don't wait till the night before. So, we're professionals, so we know these things. So we're out at least a week ahead of time making sure we're prepared.
What else shouldn't you do?
What? Tell me.
Let's say you have a buddy over and you're getting ready to shoot and something on your bow is really bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a tip on what you shouldn't do in the grass.
What did I do in the grass?
What did I do in the grass?
I have no idea.
This just doesn't
are you
look
smoking
right.
grass?
Yeah, you know better than that.
What'd you do in the grass, Gary?
This doesn't quite look right. Let's loosen this up and see if we can adjust it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cable
That works
clamp.
great.
My cable clamp. We decided to do a little adjustment.
Not we.
I decided to do a little
Thank
adjustment
you.
on my cable clamp, and it has a really tiny nut and screw on it. And
Like really tiny.
Gary has Frankenstein hands, and we decided to do it right over grass. So that set me back a couple days, but I've got that fixed now.
So we had lots of small parts that got lost in the backyard.
Yeah.
No, just one.
What happens in the mountains?
Just one small part.
Well, what happens in the mountains now is I have a whole brand new.
What happens in the mountains stays in the mountains.
I mean, whatever happened to the KISS principle?
That's true. And that's what we were talking about, wasn't it? I'm saying,
Yep.
I told Gary. Gary was all upset, and he was crying and everything else. And I said, Gary, don't cry. I said, I need.
Then you said, lay your head on my shoulder. I'm like, wait a minute.
Head down.
You're not tricking me with that again.
I said, this is don't feel bad because we needed to find this out. Because what if I was several miles back in Colorado or something like that, and I decided to adjust this stupid little thing and I lost a nut. So I was kind of looking over it, seeing, can I just tie this off? You know, I was trying that at the beginning, but
We probably could have if
We
we'd
could
have
have.
taken the spring off and tied
I
it.
was
and
I was
everything.
scared I was going to pull the spring out too far and stuff. But
Is it clamped to a cable, and you're not a limb?
it's tied to the limb at the bottom, and then it comes up through that spring.
Right.
And it pulls
And
back
it comes
down
back
clamps.
down, and there's this little ball that has a small nut, bolt on one side and a little bitty nut on the other side.
Like a set screw type clamp thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it clamps down on your cable. And so right now I have a whole brand new Hamskea repair kit sitting in there that came today. And then in a couple days I have 3 extra Hamskea cable clamp balls or whatever they're called came from Hamskea. And then I have 3 extra nuts. I stopped by
476 nuts from.
I stopped by Feldman's the other day and bought those.
Wow.
So
I
now I'm
have,
prepared.
Let's see. What do I have as far as spare parts on that? I have.
I got Jack's bow, or Jake's bow, or Jack, or Bob's
Well, I don't
bow
have
in
any
case mine
clamps
breaks.
on mine. Mine just is served in right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
I
mine
know.
is.
That affects accuracy when you serve it into your bus cable. So I don't like that. All the kids in the know and the pros
Yeah?
are going to these limb-driven ones. So,
Okay.
but I think you might have proved us wrong with your little broadhead test you did, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But
Yeah, basically, just you don't even need to bother shooting them. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. You're
So-
close anyway. Rookie mistake.
Yeah,
Can you
Gary.
believe that?
nice. So this week in Bows, I've been getting ready for the hunt. All I got to do is wash up some clothes and pack, and I'll be ready to go. We're going to leave next Friday. We're going to leave in the morning, and that's what Bob and I were kind of looking forward to, but Gary decided, and he waited till 3 days or a week beforehand to tell us that he's going to go ahead and work Friday. So, well.
That means I've got to go ahead and work Friday too. So
Bob's going to be in a bad mood. So thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Way to go, Gary.
Not a problem.
anytime. Huh?
No problem at all. Hey, as long as it inconveniences you, Jack, I'm happy about
I
it.
know it. So what about you, Bob? What have you been doing?
Well,
Wishing he had better friends.
mail order.
Those are prides, Bob, not
No.
friends.
Since the last time I podcast, haven't been here for the
Wow.
last 2 or 3 times. Had a few things going on, but let's see. I've shot a state field, state ASA 3D, and maybe one other small 3D, and shot my bow about every day in the backyard. Seems to anyway, so hadn't been shooting the best, but I probably shot as well tonight as I've shot in a long time. So,
You ready for the hunt?
yep,
You looking
I'm
forward
ready.
to it?
Yep, I'm going to go shoot a field shoot in the morning over to East Fork,
Yeah.
and I'll probably check out and see what kind of broadheads they've got. Maybe buy 1 or 2 from Sebastian, and
Are you buying singles now, Bob? I'd like for you to open that package and tell me one broadhead.
well, you got connections.
You know people.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'll buy any arrows, but never know. May even buy another bow. Did you see how Jack fine-tuned his phone over there?
Look at it.
I'll explain that when we're not actually on the air.
You can explain it on the air.
Give it a good whack. That's like gravel tubing your boat.
I have a
it's kinda like
slight.
that.
I have a slight temper.
No, you don't. Okay, maybe.
Dude, if you had a temper, I know a lot of people that would be dead.
I've thought about it. It's not like it's not in my mind.
He console tuned his phone. That's the best way to say it. Console tuned it, and
now it's really screwing up, and you got to smack it.
But that's all I've been doing. What have you been doing, Gary?
Mowing, trying to get stuff figured out for next week because I'll have a bunch of them that I don't mow for a week. So I've been doing a lot of that. I have not shot a whole lot except when I've been coming up here with Jack and shooting. And that showed tonight when we first started out shooting at yardage. It wasn't great, but when we scooted up to 20, I was hitting them pretty good and started scooting back and everything got better again. So repetition, I need to work on that more, but as far as shooting goes, not a whole lot. Been trying to get ready for this hunt and making sure I got everything together. Trying to be somewhat responsible. It's not working, but I'm trying. And I don't know, Jack's costing me a lot of money. You need to buy this. You need to buy this. You need to buy this.
Have you forgotten this is a primitive sport?
I know. The bows are more primitive than the stuff we're wearing to hunt in. You need these pants. They're only $180. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Indians, I bet they wish they had that. And like, man, I could use those Sitka pants from Rogers. Indians are like, man, I need to kill that buffalo so I can get a hide and make me some breeches.
Did he tell you to get them in a little bit extra size because you eat a lot out there, but he's planning on wearing them?
Well, I wear a 36, but he kept going, you need to buy 38s. I'm like, no, these fit. He goes, no, really, buy 38s.
Yeah. You'll gain weight out there.
Yeah. And if you don't, I can borrow them.
Well, you could really gain weight. So go ahead and get them in 40s.
Things are looking up for me. I'll go buy another pair.
And
your legs may be a little bit short for.
And a belt with a lot of adjustment.
Do either one of you be judging?
What are you talking about? Slim?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Hey, it's your beard that weighs so much, Jack. Why don't you take a video of yourself?
Because I like videoing you guys. I don't like being on the video.
I don't blame you there. Well, that's about it for me. Shot tonight, did okay. We'll be out of here again a little bit. Jimbo?
Well, I guess we just did our last podcast. It's only been a week ago, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. But I don't know, the last few weeks has been kind of one of them, let's get through this and quit doing this crap. Because I had twisted my knee, and then last weekend I was pretty much over that and back to normal and kind of started getting back to shooting again. And Sunday night I'm sitting in my chair watching TV, and I get a pain in my left foot out of nowhere. And within an hour, my foot and ankle and the bottom of my leg was all swollen up, and I was about sick and got really, really hot, and I guess I turned ghostly white, and I ended up in the emergency room Sunday night. And about half the week I spent just sitting in my recliner with my foot up on medication, and I'm pretty much back to normal by now. And went and saw a foot specialist, and I mean, they've done x-rays and all that kind of thing, and all anybody can come up with is I got bit by something and had a bad reaction.
Brown recluse.
So, no, nothing's rotting away.
Oh.
So, but other than that, the one thing I got accomplished this week is I fletched up some hunting arrows and made my first attempt at a 4-fletch. How'd you like it? Well, it took a little longer, one more vane's worth per arrow. Once I
not how'd you like fletching them? How'd you like shooting them?
I thought they flew and grouped pretty good. I mean, what was that one? I mean, we're standing out there in a hurry. I just got here and ran up, started shooting in a 3-inch group at 50.
Yep.
So I'm not going to complain.
And words come out of his mouth. He must be on medications that I'd never heard. That's close enough for me.
What?
Yeah. I've never heard that out of him before. Usually it said, I think I can tweak that, get that just a little bit better than that.
Well, for no tweaking whatsoever. I mean, that was once
I know.
We got it. It was in the tape pretty much at 50 and in the tape pretty much at 20. So
maybe he's maturing.
So that's pretty much about all I've been doing. I like the 4-fletch deal, though. It's kind of cool.
So what did you do to get it to fly so good?
Well,
That's the first time you shot that, right?
yeah, that's the first time other than shooting through paper, that's the first time they've been outdoors and shot.
And you did a little experiment out there.
We did.
With 3 or 4 different arrows fletched differently?
I did. The arrows that I fletched up were just some, what's the name of them? I can't even, some Easton Aftermaths. They're a lower end carbon shaft.
Yeah.
8.8 grains an inch. They're a 5,000th run out shaft. They're not real high dollar. When I built them, I cut an inch off the back end. And then,
what'd you do that for?
Just because on any arrow shaft, if where you have the run out is where they come off the machine tends to be, and if there's any little tweak, it's in the very end of the shaft.
Yeah.
So I cut an inch off the back end of them all and squirt them up, with the G5 tool.
Mm-hmm.
Put the nocks back in them, and cut them all to length and inserted them. And then I fletched them up, and when I put them together with the field points, as I put them together, I spun them, to make sure they spun good. And every one of them, there was no visible wobble whatsoever. I don't have a run-out gauge, but, you can tell if an arrow's got wobble to it just by spinning it on a bench top.
What's a run-out gauge?
It shows how much wobble you've got in a rod or as it spins.
Are those expensive?
Yeah, they're probably a few $100s.
How do you? Is it a whole machine you put it in, or?
Yeah, it's got a like a tool that comes in and runs up against the shaft, and as you spin the shaft, it pushes it back and forth on
I know what you mean.
On a gauge. Mm-hmm. I may be calling it the wrong, not by the right word, but it's just a run-out gauge is what I would call it. But anyhow, that's something I've always done on lower end arrows. No matter what brand, I've always had great luck with them. And went out here and I tweaked it through paper with a bare shaft, and from about 10 feet away, got a good hole with a bare shaft at 10 feet, and then fletched them, and it was pretty much a perfect hole, and came out here and with a NAP Hellraiser, which is a 1 1/8 open blade, fixed blade broadhead. At 50 yards, they were with what, Bob? 2 inches of a field point?
Yep. Right at it.
So, and right on top of each other at 20. Yep. So, and that's without any tweaking. And like I said, I run up here in the truck and got out of the truck and.
Right. Yep.
So.
Sounds like a good system.
Didn't work too bad, I don't reckon.
So what do you talk when you say lower end arrows? What do you mean by that?
Well, they're not $200 a dozen. They're less than $100 a dozen, I believe.
Yeah.
Or right there, but they're versus a 1,000th run out shaft. They're a 5,000th.
Right.
So it it just depending on what you're doing. Around here, typically we're not taking a lot of really long shots. Mm-mm. And I'm not going out west, so probably my longest shot's going to be 30 or 35 yards anyhow.
Right.
On average. So I have spent money on real high dollar hunting arrows before, but for what I do, I don't have the need.
Yeah.
And I shot them up against some of my other ones, which even some other higher end ones and that kind of thing. And at 50 yards with 3 different broadheads, all except for the real old school NAP Thunderhead, the old one that you have to put together, that when you spin it, you can watch it wobble. Mm-hmm. It was 3 or 4 inches off of the group, but the rest of them were well within a 10 ring size at 50 yards.
Right.
So,
that I don't have a very good memory, but I do believe the very first podcast that I did with you guys, I think I brought that up, didn't I? About not having to have, the premier arrow to hunt with and stuff. And remember, mm-hmm. I think I remember something about that, but that's the first time in 30-some years I think I've been right. At least that's what my wife says. So I'm sitting here just grinning.
Well, I'm always for always having the best equipment you can afford.
Right.
Because it just takes away the better the equipment, typically it's going to give you more forgiveness. Because the more precise the equipment is, it's just like we was talking about with the Thunderhead, with that old razor head. If I was perfect with it, I shot it again after the once, and it was pretty much grouped there with the rest of them. But that first one, I was just a little bit bad on the shot, and it was a foot difference.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
And the rest of them were just bunched up right there together. So that just goes to show, I think that's a prime example of when everything's perfect, it's going to be more forgiving for you.
Yep, I would agree. Yep.
So, but other than that, archery-wise, that's about all I've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's slacking for you.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I was sitting in that recliner all week, and I know Jack can relate. I was bored. But I have a lot of appreciation for these guys that go around and have problems and missing limbs and can't walk, and I have more appreciation for them than they could ever imagine.
Hey, I'm just glad I'm the youngest one here. Of course, 2 hernia surgery.
You are?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Well, besides Josiah, and I give him a run for his money sometimes.
Well, we had some good news today. Pibb is at the ASA Classic shooting in the senior pro, and he is sitting about 5th or 6th. Is that right? Or is he
tied for right up there 4th or 5th? Something.
Oh,
like
is he tied for 4th or 5th?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So he shot really well. He shot 6 up today. I think 12 up's winning it, something like that. And let's look here. Yeah,
I was going to say I had that
12 up is winning it on the first day, and he is at 6 up. And there's 1, 2, 3 at 6 up, 2 at 8 up, 2 at 10 up. Yeah, so he's tied for 4th actually.
Yeah, I was thinking he was right up there. Good job, Pibber.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Way to go.
He's going to shoot him up tomorrow.
Yep.
Vince, he's been texting me. He said that he shot the practice range really well today. And if he just lets his bow
he was 14 up
shoot,
on the practice round.
If he just lets his bow shoot tomorrow and doesn't get greedy, he should do pretty good. So,
all right, I got a question. You guys can answer this for me, so I don't shoot 3Ds. If you just went out and just tried to shoot 10s all day long, how would you finish? Generally.
Typically, probably better than you think you would.
That's what I'm wondering.
It's getting so tough anymore, though.
You see the 12, you're like, man, I'm going to nail this thing.
But here's the deal.
Sometimes you're going to actually hit a 12.
You may think you may end up better than you thought you would, but you're not going to be at the top.
My group, of course, there wasn't but 3 or 4 of us in it at the state ASA. If I would have shot even, I'd have won it. I think the guy that won it was 3 down. But wasn't I was like 20 down, and it wasn't that I shot bad. I just didn't hit any 12s.
Right.
I shot it 3 out of when we took a break, come back out. I shot 3 out of the next 4 targets. The first 4 targets we shot, I shot 12s on them. I shot 3 12s all day. And but like you said, if I would have just, like you said, shot 10s and tried to shoot 10s all day long on the known yardage, I'd have won it if I'd have shot 10s all day. But
there's just a ton of really good shooters anymore. I mean, you go to these shoots, these guys are shooting 20, 30 up first day, and so if you go shoot even, it's going to put you middle of the pack. It depends on what,
You can shoot around to even, and like Jack's saying, you can shoot even, be middle of the pack, and everybody looks at you like, what's wrong with him? Mm-hmm. And that's great shooting.
It is great shooting.
But there, especially in the ASA, there's such a difference. There's that 16th of an inch on that 12 ring, which is in and out. Mm-hmm. And so many times you're a 16th of an inch off of that 12, and too many times because of where it's at, it's an 8 and not a 10.
Yeah, you might be
because
shooting.
you'll shoot just under it.
You might be
Just under
shooting really just as well as another guy, and you shoot 10 down, and he shoots 20 up. You're 20
Literally.
down. Yeah,
and you can have your arrows a
Within-
quarter inch apart all day long.
yeah.
Well, I shot 4 what I felt, because I have a phobia about the low 12, so I just said I'm shooting high 12s all day. And I know 3 or 4 of my best feeling breaking shots, and they were close, but they were 8s, because I just was out the top just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it wasn't that bad a shot. Mm-hmm. I was just on the upper side instead of the lower side of it, when I was going for it. A really good shot. I didn't miss it by that much. Scored an 8 instead of a 10 or a 12. So,
Well, several years ago, Known 45, they changed it for like a year where you shot low 12s one day and high 12s
yeah.
the next day. And I don't know what I shot. I think I shot up, maybe 8 up or something the first day. And one of the guys in my group, really good guy, and I wish I could remember his name, the next day was upper 12s, and I wasn't used to shooting upper 12s. I hadn't practiced them, and which is my fault, but there's not a lot of places to do that around here either,
Right.
And I was right underneath the upper 12 all day, but I marked it perfectly for him, and he shot right after me.
Yep.
And he got on the podium 3rd place. He moved all the way up. And he told me at the end, he goes, I wish I could take you up there with me. He goes, because you marked them for me all day long, but I just couldn't hit them.
Well, and that's a lot of times how it works, you know, because it's there are so many great archers out there. There is a lot of good archers out there.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of them.
And it's especially in the 3D world when you're shooting at something that typically you can't see.
Yeah.
But when you got somebody marking them good for you all day long, look out,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get to go to Metropolis this year, but the year before, there was 5, I think, in our group, and 2 of them were on the podium. But after the first day, the guy that ended up getting first, he was in 2nd place, and he was down by like 6 points. And the guy that was in first was in the group ahead of us. Well, we're standing around waiting for him to tell us to start shooting, and we could hear the group in front of us talking, and that guy said, "Oh, I'm 6 points ahead." He says, "I can shoot center 10s today and just coast to the, on into to the first place." And the guy that won it, that was in our group, he just looked up at him and grinned. He says, "You do that and I'll own you."
Really? And he did.
And he did. He owned
Wow.
it. But because this guy, he was shooting good, and he buzzed right by. As a matter of fact, I think that guy that was in first, I think he ended up getting. No, he didn't get third. He ended up getting second, but because the other guy that was in our group got third.
Yeah. Huh.
But zipped right by him.
Yeah.
But if I go back to one, I'm probably going to go try to shoot centers, and it's so much easier to shoot a center 10. Center 12 than it is a upper or lower.
Well, and here's the deal too: you have to go with what your averages are. If I can't go out and consistently hit a 50-cent piece at 45 yards, why am I shooting at it? You know what I mean? Because you've got to play the game and the course management thing in along with the, with just making the shot too, because that's part of it. So you've got to know what your maximum yardage is to go after it.
And your first 8 makes you go after it.
Yep, and then you got to have the discipline to stick with your plan.
Yeah.
Because too many times that will come back and bite you in the backside.
Yeah, I don't know how many times when I was shooting that I'd go into one and say, I'm going to shoot center 10s for a little while, see how I'm doing. And you'd walk up and your first target's at 32 yards or something like that. And you go,
well, I can't give this one up.
No.
And then you shoot right under it.
Shoot an 8. Exactly.
But if you're going to be up there, to me, in my head, it used to be 35 and in, but now it's kind of like a 38 and in. You pretty much got to go for it. Mm-hmm. You get out past that 38 yard.
Well, now are you talking known or unknown?
Known.
Okay.
Known. Yeah.
Yeah, because with me shooting unknown, and I'm not the best yardage judger there is, see, I have to throw that in the mix too.
Yeah. Yep.
So I start playing on what I think it is, and then trying to play what's my most highest percentage, to stay in the, it's got to come at me, and I've got to look at it and go, that's 48 yards, before I'm ever going to gun at anything.
Well, I was shooting.
And it still bites me too much.
Yeah. I was shooting known, and the two guys that was shooting with me, one of them was Dinker, and then there was a boy from down south. They were shooting unknown, and I didn't tell them what the yards. They were shooting along, shooting pretty good, and I didn't tell them what the yardage was on any of them. After we shot, until one of them finally asked, because the guy from down south, he hit a little high, and he says, "What was that?" I said, "Well, what'd you guess it for?" And so he told me as we was walking up there, and I said, "That's why you're high." He was 5 yards off. He's lucky he hit it, and I said, I'm not going to tell you guys what the yardage is unless you ask me. After we shoot, you ask me what it is, I'm going to tell you, because there's nothing that whenever I was shooting, guessing the yardage, I'd shoot, and I may shoot a good shot, shoot a center 12 or something like that. And someone said, "Well, I can't believe, we'd be talking about the yardage after everybody shot." So somebody yank out their rangefinder and range it, and hell, I'd be 4 yards off. But I was in the center, and that screwed me up more than, just let me shoot my game and go on. But, Jerry Dinker shot real well that day. He set the targets, him and another boy, and then Vince and I and one other boy that wasn't going to shoot. Vince and I were shooting known. We went in and set all the stakes, And so, how'd you like the range? You didn't shoot it, did you? You were
the state ASA. Yeah.
You had knee problems. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I couldn't shoot it anyhow.
No, that's right. Unless it was just for fun.
Right. Unless I just came over and shot it for fun.
Yeah, because we changed. Well, I didn't. I'm not going to say we. I mean, I'm going to give credit to Jerry Dinker and Jimmy Chateau and a couple of our guys. We'd had a few complaints about hills. Well, we can't.
Wow.
Yeah, and
how do you really feel about that, Jim?
but
that's all I can say.
I know.
I guess it's a pet peeve of mine, because I know what a great course you guys have got, and everybody I heard from was how great it was. And some of these people that are going to complain about that, I don't have time for it.
Well, I had a guy.
I think I found a subject for this podcast.
What's that?
But let's finish this conversation.
Okay.
And I want to also bring up what Vinny did this week.
Well, I was sitting in a Marshall shoot, and if you shot Marshall, you know what the hills. And it happened to be a bud shoot. So, you shot that D range down there that's goat heaven. And guy said, I said, "Well, dude, I haven't seen you at our shoot." He says, "You got way too many hills." I said, "Well, you think this is flat ground where you're at right today, I said, "But it was all Marshall's not near as hilly as Carrollton." I said, "Whatever."
Yeah, at that point in time, it's not even worth your oxygen.
I didn't.
Apparently, he never shot St. Joe.
Well, I guess that Fly Creek down there was really.
I was getting ready to say, if he's definitely not been there.
Yeah, but we didn't straighten the hills out, but we changed a lot of stuff. Had a lot of out in the open shots, but you had basically off of B1 that you had to go down and then back up. But other than that, we had everything out pretty much on the flat as much as we could.
Yeah.
Now, we did have some where you was out in the sun and had a target or two in the shade, but depending on what time of day you shot on that too. So, but had pretty good turnout. I think there was 313 that could have shot it. And had 104.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You guys had 100 shooters. It was 100 degrees that weekend.
Yeah, we had about 2 more shooters than what the temperature was.
Yeah.
So it was.
So,
talk about Vinny, what he did this week or last weekend.
Yeah, Vinny, he was in. He went down to Regions. What'd they call that? The
Regions Championship.
Championship.
I don't think they call it the
Branson.
Classic, but it's basically the Regions Classic. Yeah. In Branson, yep.
But the first day, Vinny was in third place, I think, and ended up finishing fourth.
Yeah.
So,
why did he shoot open?
I don't know. He just decided to shoot open. I don't know.
And they have to judge, don't they?
Nope.
They don't have to judge
Not
an
on
open?
that one.
Oh, okay.
It was I don't know if there was a 40-yard max on that, where the known 45 had 5 yards closer or something like that. But
because he usually shoots known 45 at BSA, so I didn't know.
That's what he's shooting.
Yeah.
This weekend.
But he ended up fourth. So he did good. Did good as well.
Yeah, he shot real well. Then Jerry Dinker ended up second down there on.
He shot really
Senior
well.
Open. Yeah, he said his yardage went away from him the second day. He said the first day he judged everything pretty good, and the second day was a little iffy.
Well, if his yardage went away, it didn't go away much.
No, he shot pretty good.
He rocked and rolled it.
He always shoots pretty good, though.
Yeah, he's come back. He's shooting a lot better now than he had. But then Julie, she ended up getting first.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Her
Yep.
division down there.
Yep.
She second day she came from behind. I think she was like third or fourth after the first day. Second day she
always does it that way.
I know
it seems like
comes in the back door and
she'll after the first day she'll be so down on herself, and then she'll come back and.
But she
win or
basically
make a podium.
she said she'd done something she'd never done before, and that was not shoot any eights.
Not throw her bow.
She shot arrows, quiver.
Vinny.
Field adjusted her archery equipment.
But she said she basically cleaned it. Didn't shoot any 5s or 8s. So
Good for her.
that was pretty good. She's shooting that elite pretty good. So.
She's shooting known 45, right? Isn't that what she shoots?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Good for her.
That's good. She's
The shoulder's coming back then.
it's coming back and she's coming back.
yeah, she's shooting pretty well.
She is.
Almost makes you want to, watch somebody shoot an elite or something like that. So. Vinny's getting close, I think. He has shot it well.
Oh, he's in love and he knows it.
Yeah, he's shooting that Hoyt really well.
He's talking about buying a different bow. So, but
If him and pair with the same draw length, why don't they just rotate?
Well, they pretty much do.
If they each buy a different one, then they could just switch back and forth and it'd save both of them half the money.
Yeah,
Each
I
buying
don't
their own.
know.
they'd want that Velcro on their hats so because they wouldn't want to wear each other's sweater.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
One of them be round, the other one be oblong.
Looks like
It
Pitt will
never
be,
work anyway.
Looks like Pitt will be standing pat with his though now, the way he's shooting at the Classics. So
Give him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope,
Hey, it'll be over
I
when the
hope he- I
podcast
hope he
gets
does
released.
well.
It'll be
I
over.
hope he puts 2 days together.
Yeah, I
I
do
really
So-
do.
He can.
yeah, he
Frazier,
will.
when you hear this podcast, go kick it in the ass, dude.
Yep. So
He's going to already kick it before he hears
this just me being the brains behind this whole outfit. This just came to my head.
Pretty much the beauty, too.
I know.
Well,
So
whew, we're
talking
hurting.
about
That made him
Yep.
blush.
We are hurting in that area.
so.
Hey, there's your girlfriend on TV, Jack.
I know. Too bad she's young enough to be my daughter. Anyway, you got me thinking about people complaining, and so I'm not competing anymore. So maybe I'm overstepping my bounds, or maybe I don't give a crap anymore since I'm not part of a club or I'm not competing. But people complaining about shoots and complaining about prices. I saw people complain about prices of a shoot earlier this year. So
What was it, $20?
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask. Bob, how long have you been shooting 3D?
Oh, I don't know. On and off for probably around close to 18 years, 15 years, something like that.
So when you first started shooting 3D, what did it cost you to shoot a 3D shoot?
I think actually it was at 10. Then it was either 8 or 10, but we did shoot 40 targets.
Right.
So
What is it now?
we
To
charge 12 and shoot
bucks.
30 targets,
In 18 years' time.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And people want to complain about targets being shot up, and they want to complain about the course. And yet,
Well, here's another real quick. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
How much were the targets when you started shooting?
yeah.
No, they were
100, 150?
Yeah, they weren't.
And what are they now?
$250 maybe on the top one, but
Right now, if you go buy a used, already shot up targets, used, 20 target course, it's what, $4,000?
Yep.
Yep.
$4,000.
$4,000. And whereas, say back in 07, 08, 20 targets was half of that.
Yeah.
They were like
Yeah.
2,200.
Yeah.
Well, you could buy a range for like $2,200.
Because when the ASA gets done, you can buy an ASA range. You got to get your name in ahead of time and everything else. But you can buy an ASA range that's been shot for $4,000.
and they give you cores.
They give you cores.
Give you cores.
Yeah.
But the thing about, and another thing is, if anybody set any of these 10 to 15-year-old targets and now set these targets, it's a lot easier to set these targets as far as picking them up and packing them and stuff like that, because they're not near as dense a foam as what they were back then.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Right, but what we're looking at, though, is the range has more than doubled in price.
Mm-hmm.
You went up $4.
If that.
If that.
And if you go to a really nice one, you're going to pay $15.
And the thing that bugs me a lot about is a lot of these people that complain have never been part of a club. And I'm not doing anything now, but I was part of St. Joe Club. I've weed eated that range. I've cut brush on that range. I've carried targets on that range. And that was a hilly range.
I'm sitting here shaking my head.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the people that put these ranges together are not getting paid. They're spending their own gas money. They're taking time away from their family. They're sweating their, watts off.
And then half the people that come up and complain are driving up in $50,000 or $60,000 trucks.
Yep.
They're pulling out a bow and arrow, and their entire rig is $2,500.
Yep.
They've got all this stuff.
Got an $80 shooter shirt on.
Yep. And then they're complaining about shooting. I mean, in some cases, they're complaining on a state championship of paying $35.
Yeah. And where they complain is when they, after they get done shooting, a bunch of their buddies go and pay $80 to play a round of golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've never understood why people haven't charged more, but I guess people wouldn't come. They wouldn't pay it, which is ridiculous.
Would people not come and not pay it, or would you just weed out the ones that like to complain no matter what?
How much did you charge for the state championship the other day?
I didn't work the I think it was 20 or 25, something like that. But the club didn't get. I don't think we got as much money out of the per head as what if it was a regular shoot or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's $20 or $25 on a qualifier too. But that, like I said, the guys that I shot with there 2 years ago, they were part of clubs down in the South.
Right.
They couldn't believe that we shot 30 targets. They said they were charging $15 and for usually 15 targets.
Really? Yeah.
And,
well, I know we used to put out 40 targets too, and then we talked about going to 30. And when everybody switched to 30, there was a big backlash there for a while.
Oh yeah, I got chewed on that.
Yeah,
because I was president of the club when we went to 30.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially whenever it started going that way, when it went from most of the clubs running IBO rules to ASA, and switching over to ASA type rules, it seemed like to me.
Yeah.
And for what, I don't know why. I really don't. But it did. There was people who complained for a while, but at the same time, it was always you set up your shoots and everybody wanted your cards in by 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you would get backed up on courses, and then you were having people who couldn't physically make it in by 3.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was being 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and then you'd have people fussing about that.
Yep.
And they were wanting to go, and they needed to get home, and they couldn't spend all day at the 3D range, and blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. So you cut it down to 30, and then,
can't win.
You cannot please everyone.
I really think that clubs should be charging $30, $40, $50 to shoot, and I know people will complain about that, and nobody will because they won't show up.
Yeah.
But that's the only way these clubs. If you want a club that's going to be well maintained, have brand new targets, and just be top of the line all the time, they need to charge the money for it.
Well, if
they've been charging $10-12 forever.
If you can get 2/3 the people and double the money, you're doing better. And 1/3 of the ones are the ones going to gripe all the time and never lift a finger to do anything.
Yeah, but you don't want to cut people out of the sport either.
Yeah.
Because it's still an industry-wide standard. 92% of archery, of all your archery-related stuff, 92% is hunting-oriented.
Yeah.
8% is on the target side.
Right.
That has been an average that's been probably, I don't know how many years it's been that percentage, but it's been quite a while. But that's, seriously, 9 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these folks that come in, they're not the ones that are complaining, that are coming in with their hunting bows. And they come in and they shoot, from the bow hunter stake, and they come in and they have a good time. And so, you get a young couple that comes in, mom and dad and a couple kids, they can't come in and pay $200.
That's true.
To shoot
that's true.
A 3D range. So I
hadn't thought about that.
You got to look.
Don't you let the kids shoot for $5 or free?
You got to look at it from that respect too.
Right.
So it's usually the ones whining the most are the ones at the highly competitive end.
Yeah.
That.
Well, we switched up a little bit because we thought, $12 is too much, maybe for the average bow hunter type person to come in. So we also had a $6 fee, shooting the same 30 targets, but it was a fun class. You just paid $6, fun. Here's your scorecard if you want to keep score, but it's on your own. We just want your card turned back in so we know you're off the range, and we're not going to. You don't win anything.
Yeah, no awards.
No awards. And you would have thought, when we advertised it and everything else, we had like 6 or 7 guys come from off down by Sweet Springs someplace. And they'd come in, they loved that. They was the only ones that would do it. Everybody else wanted a trophy or
they had more fun than everybody else, didn't they?
Yeah, they come in. They were at one time they were even going to start their own club and everything else, but then we saw that wasn't working, so we just, for ease of collecting money, we did away with it, and I haven't seen them since. So but yeah,
I don't know what the solution is, and people can be mad at me if they want for what I said, but I mean it's just. I just know the work that goes into these clubs, and I know the cost of targets, and then it just makes me mad. It doesn't make me mad necessarily. I didn't think about the family part of it. Spending $200 for you and your kids to shoot.
Right, but it doesn't have to do that though, Jack. You could put in a
family plan. You could
put the family. Okay, the whole family shoots for $70.
Or $50,
or 50. Or even the kids, let the kids shoot free.
Right.
Because you just want to get them interested.
Okay, and then here's what you run into. You got mom, dad, and a couple kids that come in and say they're $70, right? And then somebody, guy and girlfriend, say come in, and they have to pay $50 a piece. It's $100, and they look at you and they say it costs us $100 to shoot, but they get to shoot for. There's 4 of them, and they get to shoot for 70. These are the arguments you deal with.
Oh yeah, it's a no-win situation.
It's a no-win situation.
So maybe the solution is just don't complain. If you're not working in a club, don't complain.
Yeah, appreciate what you got. That you've got the opportunity to shoot it.
Or tell the 2 that came in and complained, well, take one of their kids and lighten their load today and have fun. pay less money than you put up with shooting with a kid all day long.
Well, when you're behind the deal, taking the money and you're trying to keep everybody, you try to keep everybody even tempered. You take the chewings and you go on and stuff. But when we switched to 30 targets the first time, our first shoot was like in April, and this guy come in and he just threw a fit. You raised the price, you lowered the amount of targets and this and that, and he just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I said, look, you don't have to shoot it. If you don't want to, it's up to you. And he said, no, I'll go ahead. But he says, I don't know if I'll be back or not. I said, okay, that's, I try to be nice.
Fair enough.
But he made such a scene, and stuff, and drilled it in my head because I didn't know the guy. I hadn't seen him before. Well, come August, our last shoot, he comes in, and I remember him. He came in, paid his money, and everything went out. Got done shooting, and he's sitting over there figuring his score up. I mean, it was hot. You know, it was another 100-degree day and stuff. And he's sitting over there, and he says, "Man, I didn't think I was going to make it through, you know, that last target and stuff." And I couldn't help it. I heard him. I jumped up. I walked over there, and I said, "Get your pencil and your bow and stuff. Go out and shoot another 10."
Yeah.
He looked at me. He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "No, get yourself up and go shoot another 10 targets, you know." And he says, "Well, I'm not going to do that." I said, "Well, then you were the one that were complaining about 30 targets back in April." And I said, "Now you say you can hardly make it through 30.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of people sitting around too. I shouldn't have done it, but it just hit me wrong. And I had a bad day or something. But
Did you feel better?
Yeah, he didn't go get his bow and go shoot 10 more targets either. And I said, "Yeah, dude." I said, "Now, but we got to go pick those 30 targets up, you know, and stuff and everything too." So, you know.
Well, Bob, there's a reason they don't want folks like us being politicians.
I guess. But normally I can kind of halfway hold it and go on, but that one just
there comes that point.
You know, it's probably the heat and everything else, but
yeah, there comes that point.
Yeah, and what's even better is have a club member that comes and shoots and then complains about stake placement.
Yep.
And it was the last shoot of the year, and he hadn't been there to set any, or he hadn't been there to pick any up or do anything, you know, and then complains about stake placement.
Well,
I didn't hold my cool in either.
When we had our club, you could either set up. If you wanted to shoot for free, you either had to set up or you had to pick up. Well, everybody showed up to pick up because that's the easy part. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
And so there'd be 2 or 3 of us setting the whole thing up, sometimes 5. And there'd be 12 of us picking up so they could shoot, you know?
Oh, that's an easy fix, though. Just the 3 that normally set up just don't show up one time.
Well,
everybody goes, "How come you're not set up? How come you didn't show up?"
You know, there's been times this year and the last year or so, I feel bad because just like at the end of the state ASA, I had a 11-year-old grandson down at the lake that was having a birthday party.
Yep.
So I came in that morning and helped get everything, all the shooters going and stuff, you know, because we had them shoot through the chrono and everything else, and then we put them together, busted groups and put people together, and I started sending them the targets and stuff. And when we got done, then I finished up and I had to exit and go down. And, you know, you get torn whether you stay
right
or you know, my grandson's only going to have 11.
Feel guilty.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, go down to Lake, you know, grandson's birthday.
That has to come first.
But I mean, we had good help. We've got we got 2 or 3 young guys, and that are kind of helping a little bit. And one thing that really helps there is that I call them young guys. They're early 30s, but his son shooting and just loves to shoot, and he's shooting real well too. Actually, he shoots better than his dad and his uncle. But he loves to shoot and everything else. So they go everywhere. Well, they've joined the club and now they're helping a bunch. So
good deal.
Yeah, it's really really good. So
that's the thing. I mean, there used to be clubs everywhere, you know, within an easy driving distance. Now you got to drive a long ways to shoot. It seems like, you know.
Yeah. Well, I had when I first joined the club and got in there and started helping, we were talking about this morning. I think we had 7 or 8 guys, and of course we were setting 40 targets, but there'd be like 4 or 5 people go to each A, one to set to A, one to B, take everything, and you know, we could start on a Saturday afternoon, get everything set, be ready to go and everything else, and then it would be nothing to tear down because you had the extra guys there to come and shoot, you know, and stuff. But then we went through a spell there for a while. It was me and one other guy setting up. Well, me and Jerry there for a long time. And And it'd take us all day
Yeah.
to set up. And the earlier ones, usually wasn't too bad. But, man, the later ones, and Jack, July, August, Jim, you do too. Just like this ASA shoot, we had to set a couple extra stakes, and the ground was hard enough, All I did was set stakes. I didn't set any targets, but Vinny and I and another guy, and Vinny was doing the rangefinder. The other guy was writing down, and I was driving the stakes. You had to drive every one because the ground was so hard.
Yeah.
And shoot, just driving the stakes that day, I was wore out.
Oh, I bet. Yep.
But it was fun.
I don't think folks
It was fun.
understand the work that goes in. I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, it was fun because it was trying to set the stakes at, not all of them at the max yards, but we set 3 in a row. I just walked up there and stopped and looked at the target and started setting 3 in a row with the very same yardage when Vince hit them, and we made comments. Should we change something? We didn't change it because you looked at all 3 of them and they didn't look the same yardage.
Yep.
But when we got up there, and like I said, I was shooting with Jerry Dinker and this other guy, and they were shooting unknown. And they get up there and they shoot, and they both shot real well on the first one. Second one, they get up there and they stood there and they looked like a pup. When you make noise, their heads were turning back and forth, looking at that thing, and I'm sitting back just grinning because I knew what was going to happen, even on the next target, And they're looking, and so I get up, and it was my turn to shoot first on the second one. Well, I do the old trick where I range it, and I move my sight about 5 clicks one way and move 5 clicks back.
Because you're shooting known
Because
yardage.
I'm shooting known yardage.
Yeah.
But I said I couldn't get up there and not move my sight.
Right.
So, like I said, I moved about 5 clicks one way, 5 back, shot, and Jerry's next, and he gets up there and he looks at it, and he looks at his sight, and he looks back at the deal. You could just see the wheels turning,
And the steam building.
And he had just shot a 12 on the one before that. It was like 41 yards, something like that. And he moves his sight and shoots, and he hits bottom 10, But,
Yeah.
and he sees heads go over me. Well, the next guy gets up. That was kind of the start of his rough day because he ended up with one good arrow at the end of the day, and he brought 6. And
This guy or Jerry?
this other guy.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and moves his sight vroom, right over top of it, off into the timber.
Oh.
And, we walk up there, and Jerry still, we walk to the next target, and it's the same thing, only I get to shoot last on that one, so I didn't have to worry about it. But, they changed their sight. But I think Jerry must have moved his back because he shot a 10 just out of the 12. But the other guy, he just a skin nickel.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Did you tell Jerry then?
I told him later, after it was all over with. I said them 3 targets were exactly the same yardage. And he looked at me and said, "What'd you move your sight for?" I said, "Well, I didn't want to give it away." But
well, that tells you he was paying attention.
yeah, oh yeah. He was using everything around him that he could. That's for sure.
Brett Nelson and I was shooting up at Ridgeway one time, and we were out in, how it ended, you had that open field, and they'd always mow it where you couldn't see just a straight line. You had to, and they had a standing bear, and Brett and I both, I don't know if we 12'd it or not. I don't even know if they counted 12s back then, but we center punched the 10. And we set our bows down, and, back then we weren't covering up our sight tapes or anything. And Brett goes, what is that? Oh, that's you, Thunder?
Rookie mistake.
Yep. Anyway,
I got my phone silenced, but it didn't silence.
Brett told me, he goes, "Hey, move your sight." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Move your sight 10 yards. Move it 10 yards hot." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Just trust me. So I said, "Okay." So I moved my sight 10 yards hot. We left our bows there and we went down and pulled our arrows. We came back. There's these 2 guys that he knew standing there talking, and you can see they were kind of looking over the bows and stuff. Everybody looks over everybody's bows. And we went on to the next target. He goes, "We get over here. Let's watch them." He goes, these guys look at sight tapes all the time.
Yep.
And they shot that standing bear up in the face, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I had a guy that was a young guy that was always staying to my left, whenever I shot. And I just was guessing what he was doing, so I set my sight about 6-7 yards hot on one and aim low, shot, put it in there. He gets up there, like you said, right over top of it.
Yep.
What the hell did you shoot that for? I said, I don't know. I don't hardly pay any attention to my sight. I just shoot, But he was a tape. Yeah, he looked at my tape.
Yep. So.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of work goes into these clubs, and that's part of the reason why there's not as many clubs out there anymore.
There's not. And that's kind of one of the things since I took over being president of NBH. If I put a few things on Facebook and just, asking people to get involved with their clubs and help them out and pay attention to what the effort that goes in behind the scenes that most people don't pay any attention to. Mm-hmm. And next weekend is the NBH State 3D, and Bill and Jeanette, are putting it on up there in Navajo. Yeah. And I guess they've been up and cutting some new ranges.
Yeah,
I guess
that's what I heard.
I
wish I could be there.
I guess they've been putting a lot of effort into it, so it's going to be a pretty cool thing, I believe.
Tell them I say hello.
So I'll do it.
Well, we've got some club members that all they want to do is shoot indoor. They don't care anything about 3D.
Yeah, we've got the same
and everything
thing.
else, but
and they don't come out and help on the outdoor either.
No, they don't. Mm-mm. But those 2 or 3 guys, they do take care of the indoor. And that we had some that used to be that way that didn't even take care of the indoor. But, they do a good job taking care of the indoor. And, when we have indoor tournaments and stuff or league or whatever, they're right there. So, it's not, at least they're helping some,
and that's the sad part, because even your active members in your club, it's hard to get them, because with all our ranges out there at Landau and everything, with all those keeping up on the maintenance and those, I've got a half a dozen people maybe that will, that typically, if I ask them, I had guys that come out and hung targets for me this weekend just because I asked them to, and they helped me out pretty good. But there's, with almost 100 members and we had our biggest work party, we had like 18. It was great,
Wow, man.
We rebuilt 50 bales, in a half a day, and it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's like one time out of
to even have 100 members. So, gosh.
But the vast majority of them shoot indoor, and they shoot the leagues, and and with that kind of thing. But that's what they do. They come in and shoot leagues, and then like when it comes for the shootout and that kind of thing, you're right back to the small number who actually comes and works and that kind of thing. So you appreciate the people who come and help you, most definitely. But you sure wish that you could get some others a little more involved, And I understand people are busy.
Right.
I do. You guys know the hours I work. I know the hours you guys work. None of us are, are couch potatoes.
My big problem is I'm a desk jockey anymore. I get out there, and when I get done setting targets or doing something like that, I'm whipped. I am. That's why I'm hoping it's dry out west, so I can set in a sweat box.
Oh, it is
instead of spot and stalk. 'Cause I'm going to be doing more spotting than I'm going to be doing stalking. So because I'm just not agile.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to next week. Well, we're right about an hour, so we better wrap it up. So I don't know if we solved anything tonight. It's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I don't know. I guess the solution isn't raising the money because you don't want to keep people from shooting, but prices keep going up, and like you said, people don't have a problem spending $50,000 on a truck and $2,500 on a bow, but you raise the price over $12, they want to complain, or they want to complain about the range.
I'll tell you what the exact solution is to it, and people and society as a whole. And you're gonna I'll bring it into it, a little bit of politics, but you got to take a deep breath and look at what's going on.
Yeah.
This whole thing is not everything is about you individually.
Right.
You know, I mean, you got to look at the big picture.
Oh, but what makes it all worthwhile is you have 2 or 3 people complain and carry on, and you get all ticked off, and you're ready to not, just the heck with it. We're going to do away with it, and you have 2 or 3 come in and say, "Man, that was awesome shoot."
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Or
And that makes your whole day.
Or even the kids. The kids come in, grin and have, "Man, how'd you shoot?" "Oh, I shot fantastic."
And that makes it
right,
all worth it.
I'll come back out and do it
Yep.
again.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Which, by the way, we are doing the shootout again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Sweet.
Are
Yep.
you going to be in a bad mood when it's over? Or
Probably.
before it gets here?
Probably. We've
So-
already had a couple of planning meetings on it, so things are already underway. So
All right.
There should be no planning meetings. Exact same as last year. That's all
Jack, you
gotta
going to
do.
shoot indoor this year?
I doubt it.
Sure, you're going to think about it just a little bit?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
cool. shoot bow hunter freestyle.
Maybe.
Hey, watch this, Jack. Are we going to shoot indoor?
Probably not.
All right.
Come on, Gary.
We're going to shoot outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
We're going to go over to Pibbs, open the door, and shoot outside.
it was Vince says, "Shut up, Gary."
That was probably Julie typing on Vince's phone.
Well,
She could be a Bo diva and leave me
and
alone.
Bob's going to have fun shooting indoor again.
Yep.
This is going to be the
It's
year.
Bob-
And that's
year.
what we're going to do. We're going to have fun.
Yep.
Usually people say the year, it's the last one, so this is it for you, huh, Bob?
And see that? That's just me thinking about shooting a 60.
He's shaking his hand. He's shaking his hand right now. So,
Bob shot 59 X's right here. We're in trouble. It's like the
Well-
guy that knows he can bowl a 300 and throws 11 in a row and rolls the other one in the ditch. You know why he did it? Because he can.
Yeah.
well, like I said, we'll be on the road to Colorado next week, and so I'm not real sure the week after this if there'll be a podcast or not. But
It may
Probably-
be what we call an open week.
it may be. I doubt there will be a podcast. I don't know. I don't see how we're going to be able to do one next week.
No,
Can we
'cause
put up an old-
you guys are gone. I've
Yeah.
got a state shoot to run
Yeah.
and take care of.
Can we put up an old
So-
one?
Let me just, I might be able to put up an old one, but let me just say right now, if I don't put up an old one, there will not be a podcast the week after this one. But we probably will take the equipment with us, and I'm not sure if we'll have time or if Fred will agree to it or anything, but we might try to do a podcast out there and see if he'll, do it.
If Fred doesn't agree to it, you can interview me.
Okay.
And I'll
Sounds
interview
good.
Bob while you're interviewing me, and it'll be great.
And I'll act like Fred Eichler.
Did you see that?
All right. So anyway, bowdudes.com. Go down. You can,
Bowdudes.
you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Facebook.
all that. Send us emails, whatever you want to do. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. If you do enjoy this, give us some feedback. Go to iTunes and leave us a review on iTunes if you would. You can search for Bowdudes. We have a separate feed there now. And you can also still find us on the Outdoor Podcast channel. So thank you guys for listening. This is the only you're the only reason we're doing this. And so we'll see.
We're not getting rich by this?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's kind of costing money. But anyway, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
All
See
right.
you in the funny papers.
Bye.
See
Get
ya.
out and shoot your bows. Have a good time. Bicycle.
There you go.